All right, so today I wanted to talk about what separates very good investors or good investors from average or even non-investors, right? Or people that are smart with money and people that are bad with money. Now, um, it's not that complicated. I think that there's a lot of people that like to complicate this, but at the end of the day, the separation is very simple. Number one, good investors or people who are smart with money they save, right? They simply live below their means. Now, it's very easy to just say, I'm going to take X amount of dollars and toss it into some mutual fund or ETF, on every paycheck. That is doing the bare minimum. There's the people who are at the bottom, there's the people in the middle, and then there's the people at the top. The people at the bottom, they do nothing, right? The people in the middle, they do, I'm going to take, whatever, 200, 300, 400, $500 of every paycheck, toss it in an ETF or a mutual fund and just forget about it. The people at the top, what separates them is very simple. They understand how this kind of stuff works. Not only do they take X amount of money and invest it, they want to beat the market and they understand what makes people what separates the average from the good and what separates the good from the great. What separates the average and the good is simply the average and the good. They're consistent, they do a decent job. But what separates the good from the great is the good from the great understand. I mean, they simply look at the great people and figure out what they did. Now, what do very wealthy people do to get very wealthy? At least people in the investing space. Well, there's a handful of things, but what they're the best at is identifying opportunities, but also getting their money to make more money, right? That is that getting their assets to make more assets. If you look at real estate, if you look at stocks, if you look at whatever, right? What they simply do is they use their assets to get more assets and they simply rinse and repeat. Again, depending on how much money you have, it's going to vary on how much you can actually do. But at the end of the day, it's the same concept. Again, if you look at someone who gets rich in real estate, what do? They buy a property or two. Once they have enough equity built up, they pull that out. They use it to buy another property or two or three or four. Once they have enough equity in there, they use it to buy even more properties. And again, they just rinse and repeat. Again, obviously, someone making 50, 60 grand a year, you're never going to have, a multi-million dollar, tens of million dollar, hundred or even billions in real estate. You might have one or two properties, right? Maybe three, right? If you're lucky. I understand that. But again, the same thing goes for stocks. Again, average people, they simply hold stocks, right? They simply hold stocks. But what do um, or even good, what do the best people do? Okay, let's say you have Amazon, or you can take any, well, most stocks here at least, whether it's the S&P, doesn't matter. They say, okay, well, I already have this stock. What am I going to do? Maybe I'm gonna trade options on it, right? I'm going to sell covered calls, right? Let's say I have 100 shares of Amazon. So what's that going to be? $11,000 roughly, $11,000 US at least. You can simply go, let's go 4 weeks out here. Sorry, that's a little over 4 weeks. And let's say you simply sell a covered call, like $120. That's 277 or $277 right there. You can make that, $11,000. You can make 277, at least on today's prices, dollars simply to hold the stock, right? Simply to hold the stock. Not only are you not taking any more risk, you're actually taking less risk because you're getting a return on it, right? Now, again, technically, things do get a little bit more confusing, because one of three things is going to happen, right? Well, I mean, technically four, but three that are relevant. The stock price goes down, and let's say it goes down somewhat significantly. What do? Well, the problem with that is that let's say Amazon goes to like $80, like in a month. You're never going to be able to sell a covered call at the strike price or above the strike price you've bought the stocks at, right? So then you run into the problem. Well, what do? Because you can't. Well, what you do is you sell below, but if it goes in the money, you got to buy it back. Now, if it goes way above, then you're also going to have to buy it back. So there is some complications to it, but at the end of the day, you're not taking any more risk. So that is what smart people do. They use their assets to get more assets, right? Now, again, it's very easy to say, well, I don't have millions of dollars to buy real estate or stocks, even for that matter. But most people probably can come up with $11,000. And I'm not saying you dump all your money into one stock. That's probably not the best advice. But I'm saying over the long run, that should be your goal. Now, again, you can do it in other ones too. I mean, you can do. There's Apple, there's Facebook. Like, and these are just popular ones, right? And then, I mean, you even have the S&P, right? Let's go to SPY. SPY again, same thing, right? Same thing. You're not going to get quite as much on it, surprisingly, even though it's way more. So that's another issue. But again, you simply need to get creative, I think, too. People that make a lot get creative, right? They say, okay, what do I need to do to beat the market? What do I need? And maybe at some point, maybe it's just keep up. I mean, right now it's just how do I not lose money, right? How do I not lose money? Given we're basically, I mean, we're not technically officially in a recession, but we're on the verge of it. S&P is down as much as it's been since like the 70s. So again, in times like now, okay, let's say you're simply holding the S&P rather than being down 20% or whatever, 21, 22% because you've been selling calls on it. Okay, maybe you're only down 15, maybe even less, right? So that's another thing that smart people do, right? Smart people do, right? They simply, because doing this, like there's zero added risk to selling covered calls, right? There's zero added risk, right? And this is something that I'm not sure why more people don't do, right? I'm really not sure because it's very simple, right? It's very simple. If you buy the 100 shares. Now, again, for something like this, you're going to need a lot of money. You need $38,000, right? Now, again, most investors probably have that, but again, are you going to dump it into just this one thing? Now, technically, the S&P is diversified, so it's not actually overly risky to dump all your money into the S&P, and I don't think there's very many people that would argue against that. Again, if you're older, again, they're going to say, oh, you need X% in bonds. I understand that, but I'm talking about your stocks, right? I think people are when it comes to people and this kind of stuff, there's too many people that are content with being average, right? There's too many people that are content, and people don't know what they don't know. So again, like at the end of the day, people that are smart with money simply use their money to get more money, right? Smart people use their money to get more monies. They use their assets to get more assets. People that aren't smart let other people use their money to get more assets. Again, what do you do? Um, if you're living beyond your means, you're living in a house that's more expensive than you can afford. You have a big car payment. What are you doing? You are letting other people use your money to build their wealth, right? What are you doing when you're living below your means? You're using your money to build your wealth, and that is essentially what it is, right? That is essentially what it is to get to to beat the market and to be smart. It's not that complicated. So anyway, I just wanted to make a video about that because I think it's kind of important. So anyway, if you like the video, hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more.